Okay, this game's a bit loud in my ears, but hopefully it's fine for you. The game is called The Last Wizard. The Last Wizard, a Goblin Detective Mystery. It's a surreal comedy goblin detective thing. It looked quite funny. I wanted to try it, so here we are. It is not maximized, and I hope I can. Let me change the settings before we start. Fine for you. Yeah, I turned down the volume. This is the actual volume. Well, it's not in a particular loud. It's not a loud part of the sound right now. I'm gonna turn it down. Just a bit. It's rampy, eh? Is this? I turn it down. So is it soft enough now? Maybe like that. I prefer not to mess with my OBS settings because then I'll forget about it when we hit the next game. So, okay. Look at all these pieces. Look at all these people. In a time long ago, in a land forgotten, stands the most chaotic and corrupt city of the empire that never sleeps. Red Tower. The city is so steeped in lies that it does not have a red tower. What I'm about to tell you is a mysterious murder case that took place years ago. A story I remember as The Last Wizard, a Goblin Detective Mystery. When a panting Heron quarrybone burst into the cramped apartment that served as his office, Victor Blackbottom knew immediately that it was going to be a long day. The apartment on 52 Sapphire Street was cluttered, lit only by a grimy window that cast a dim light on objects of dubious origin. Look at all these weird curves and funny angles. Whoa. Oh, I can use my mouse cursor to scroll back through text. Oh, except I scroll back too far and now I lost the forward thing. Okay. He's killing him! Heron's face was red and sweaty, as if he'd sprinted halfway across the city. His battered suit, there's a missing space here, probably inherited from a taller relative, hung awkwardly on his frame. Victor sighed deeply. A dead body would have been preferable, missing space, one that had been dead for several days. That would have spared him direct contact with Red Tower's inhabitants and, more importantly, given him time to gather information and potentially profit. But almost dead? That was an entirely different matter. A near-death meant chaos, fights, sudden assaults, the risk of further injury, and worse still, getting entangled in tedious legal proceedings. Not to mention the scant opportunities for profitable blackmail in such a volatile situation. No, this was definitely not the sort of commitment Victor wanted that morning. Brawls before the city guard, not the master of hounds. Who's killing whom? He asked, trying to remain calm, though he knew the answer would be anything but straightforward. A wizard, I tell you, a wizard! He threatened my lord, Sir William Wilbert. The words tumbled out in a rush, as if they'd been pent up too long and now exploded all at once. Victor paused, skeptical. A wizard, really? His tone was more sarcastic than curious, but his interest was piqued, even though experience told him it was likely just superstition. Still, for a moment, he couldn't help wondering if something truly unusual was afoot. Every now and then, strange tales drifted in from remote regions, while wizards and sorcerers still practicing their craft. Did you hear that buzz? A wizard? A real wizard? Attracted by the commotion, Rock, his goblin assistant, scurried over. The little green creature had huge eyes that sparkled with excitement. He wasn't the brightest, but Victor found him useful. Mainly because Rock was one of the few who accepted payment in buckets of fish heads, drastically reducing overhead. Wizards haven't existed for decades, not since those two half-men threw the jewel into the volcano and made magic disappear. Everyone knows that. Since then, magic had vanished from the world, plunging it into chaos. A grey, tedious sort of chaos, but chaos all the same. You can't call them half-men anymore, boss. It's offensive. What should I call them? 2/3 dwarves. Fair enough. No, my master, Sir Wilbur, was just attacked by a wizard. Please come quickly. Victor raised an eyebrow. What spells did he use? Mud ball? Multitude of rabbit squirrels? Earwax chat? What kind of spells are those? Classics of goblin magic tradition. Goblins and wizards? Once upon a time, all goblins were wizards. Swallowing a life badger doesn't make one a wizard. Then I guess we weren't. Can't the coin guards handle this? He sincerely hoped for a loophole to avoid this responsibility. The coin guards, notoriously ineffective but robust, were always on the lookout for easy work to supplement their income. No, we need you, Master of the Hounds, please. Come on, boss, we might see a real wizard. He couldn't be a real wizard, at least. Victor hoped not. Assuming he is a wizard, did he threaten Sir Wilbur or actually attack him? Heron stopped abruptly. His face went blank, as if his brain was struggling to process an unexpected question. An awkward silence filled the room. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he nodded decisively. Both. Victor sighed again. He knew Heron by sight, a simple, semi-literate man who performed endless menial tasks for Sir Wilbur. And Sir Wilbur himself, a reclusive guardian chicken farmer about whom little was known. The Wilburgs were wealthy merchants with aristocratic pretensions, while the elderly Sir William devoted himself entirely to the family business. Victor wasn't interested in Sir Wilburg's private life, but he noted the merchant's name was rarely mentioned in the city. "A wizard, I tell you, threatened my lord." Heron repeated with the same desperate emphasis. "Yes, you made that quite clear." Victor cut him off, his mind already searching for an exit from this conversation. The idea of confronting the wizard amused him about as much as explaining to Rock why his own shadow wasn't a spell. "But it's true, a wizard, I tell you, is the... We understand. Let's move on." Victor cut him off, trying to move things along. "My lord will explain everything. Follow me to number 60. In which district?" "This one, nah." Heron, having nothing more useful to add, rushed out the door and pointed dramatically down the street. "So, Rock, this is your first real investigation. I advise you to keep track of the various clues we find on a piece of paper." "Sure." "No, I mean, you must write down clues, names, dates, and places." "Ooh. Now look at a map of the Nar district and take us to number 60. "Right, boss. We might see the world's last wizard." Wizard. Rock chanted as he trotted out of the office. Victor looked at his office, as if leaving it for the last time. Going against his every instinct was a familiar feeling, but this time it was particularly grating. With a long sigh, he reluctantly followed the path Heron had indicated, vainly hoping this wouldn't become one of those days that dragged on into the night. Oh, cool. 60 is over here. But what if we go somewhere else? No, this isn't the right place. We need to go to number 60. Sorry, boss. The numbers all look the same. There's a chicken in that corner. This corner. Evil pigeon. It's a chicken. Yeah, I know. It's a pigeon. The pigeons are... They call... They mention the thing about... Oh, let's see. They mentioned a chicken here, back here, right? Guardian chicken farmer. It looks like there aren't different backgrounds for different houses. It's always this background. I suppose that's because we're outside our office. Sir Wilbur's villa was located at number 60 in the Nar district in the north of the city. It was an area often shrouded in light mist, as if the streets themselves wanted to hide something from the few brave souls who dared venture there. The districts and addresses were an initiative of the chief accountant, who had been controlling the city for some years. The chief accountant, a man as cold as he was meticulous, had been appointed after the not-too-mysterious death of the Grand Master of Arms. The latter had been found under suspicious circumstances, with a glass of wine still in his hand and a frozen smile on his face. Grand Master of Arms. Was a strange fate, but not so surprising, considering it had been preceded by the disappearance of the High Regent, also shrouded in mystery. To make matters worse, that disappearance followed the equally improbable suicide of the Empire's general, found hanged but with his feet firmly on the ground. As you might have guessed, the list of suspicious deaths among the city's rulers stretched like a shadow over the streets of Red Tower. The chief accountant, with his bureaucratic manner, wasted no time in organizing the city according to his own method. He decreed that all buildings must be numbered and divided with rigid precision into the 4 historical zones, each linked to a cardinal direction. It was a clear and orderly system, unfortunately based on the only available city map, decades old and predating the Great Fire. Add to this the fact that Red Tower was inhabited by individuals not very accustomed to rules and laws, thieves, mercenaries, greenskins, nobles, and various dullards. Here, chickens. Yet, to everyone's great surprise, the system took root unexpectedly quickly. Of course, the incentive provided by the Coin Guards clubs had given a considerable push. Those who opposed or failed to comply with the new rules soon discovered that the guard was not inclined to discuss things for very long, and any lapse of time greater than 0 was considered too long. That conversation was also a little too long. Come. Heron led Victor and Rock past the villa's gate, agitated and sweating. They entered the spacious entrance hall, decorated with fine carpets and tapestries. The master, he's in the drawing room behind this door. The massive door was decorated with poultry engraved in bronze. No further explanation was needed. An anguished cry came from behind the door. Ah! Open it quickly. Heron looked around, visibly confused. I can't. I don't have the keys. Only the master keeps them with him. What is he doing to me? What kind of sorcery is this? Help! Someone help me, it burns. The words rose like a desperate lament, laden with agony. Victor eyed the door skeptically. A sturdy guard would have been able to break down that door, but neither Victor nor certainly Rock had the necessary strength. I've never seen this type of lock. I don't know how to open it. Boss, I've seen a lock like this before. Where have you seen it? Just now. It's right here in front of us. What's wrong? Heron seemed petrified. He only managed to say, Look through the keyhole. My master's in danger. Victor bent down to the keyhole. He saw a figure writhing in the middle of the drawing room as if in the grip of unimaginable pain. What's happening in there? Shouted Victor, frustrated. Open this door immediately. Only Sir Wilbur's screams filled the air, growing more desperate and choked by increasing agony. Victor didn't understand what was happening, but the death of a wealthy and influential merchant was not part of his plans. The death of an anonymous beggar might have carried the same weight on a human level, but certainly not on a practical one. With Sir Wilbur's death would come suspicion, investigations, and intrigue. He's out there. The man who threatened me, the sorcerer, is performing a ritual. I feel my chest burning. It must be magic. Victor clenched his fist, powerless. Let's go see. Boom. A blinding flash tore through the darkness of the room, and in an instant, everything fell silent. End of demo. When Victor came to, the first thing he saw was Rock. If this is hell, it means you're officially my eternal punishment. Could be heaven. You wouldn't be my heaven. And if heaven existed, I doubt I'd be there either, thought Victor. True, I'd be in Goblin heaven. Probably the concussion talking, but now I'm curious. What's Goblin heaven like? An endless valley of greetings, full of trees heavy with fruit. The valley is crossed by the great river of souls, where all goblins gather and meet again. Really? That's so ungoblin-like? That's because there's so much prejudice against our kind. And you haven't heard the best part? When all the goblins are in the Valley of Greetings, the great grime will make the river of souls overflow, covering everything in mud. Then the eternal rotten fruit battle begins. Thanks for confirming my prejudices. Boss, The boom made the door snap open, hitting you square on. How are you now? Should I get some smelling salts? Do I look like a grand dame who fainted after seeing a dog defecate in the street? Rock stopped to think. It was a typical trick question his boss liked to ask. No? Rock tried to concentrate. However hard he tried, the moustache, greasy hair, and shabby clothes didn't make Victor look like a grand dame. Am I wrong, or was an assault in progress? No, boss. Sir Wilbur is no longer in mortal danger. Good, how is he? He's dead. How did it happen? A gigantic boom. The whole room went boom. Magic, boss? Magic. When Victor and Rock entered the room through the shattered door, Heron was crying over his master's still smoking body. It shouldn't have happened, sir. It shouldn't have. Victor examined the room. The drawing room had only one entrance, the now shattered door, and a window facing the street, and shelves that really shouldn't be slanted this much. He saw no one in the dilapidated building opposite the window where the supposed wizard would have been. The closed window was made of good quality glass with apparently very sturdy iron bars. It didn't seem damaged by the explosion. Victor pulled up the rug and looked under the furniture, but no secret passageway was hidden beneath the old floorboards. Actually, hid is probably fine as well. No secret passageway hid beneath the old floorboard. Very weird. It's fine, it's weird, but it's fine. He searched for niches, holes, secret passages, the usual things sport rich people put in their rooms to feel special. Heron continued to sob, his cheeks streaked with tears. Yeah, he was wearing a time bomb necklace, yeah. What are you doing? Why are you moving the paintings? My lord is here. One thing at a time, the dead don't run. Except zombies, who are in fact undead and therefore not dead. Impeccable logic, boss. I'll make a note of that. Rock nodded energetically, a proud expression on his face as he pulled out his small notebook and hastily scribbled some notes in his irregular goblin handwriting. Impeccable? Have you been to the night classes again? Teacher Ring taught us impeccable, coercive, and sly. Rock declared proudly, puffing up his chest as if he had just been named Grand Taster of Fried Squirrels by the Goblin King. Exactly. The basics first, as I always say. Victor shook his head and knelt beside Sir Wilbert's body. The scene was chaotic. Heron was weeping over his dead master, who had a conspicuous burn on his chest. Despite the horror of the situation, Victor forced him to stay focused, examining details that might reveal something useful. Sir Wilbert was wearing a leather vest under a house robe, the kind used for hunting. His elegant velvet slippers lay on the other side of the room, abandoned, like silent witnesses to the horror. The spell, however impossible it seemed, had torn through the leather vest and killed Sir William instantly. Victor checked the body for signs of strange wounds and smelled the deceased's breath for poisons. Nothing out of the ordinary. Boss, do you want to smell my breath too? Rock, what happened the last time you offered that? You should be honored, boss. The barber surgeon said he'd never seen such a miracle. You were officially declared dead for 13 minutes. Heron hugged his master, sobbing incessantly, his trembling hands trying in vain to arrange the scorched edges of the robe, as if to restore some semblance of dignity. A wig of grey hair, now singed by fire, partly covered Sir Wilbert's expressionless face. I rarely saw him around, but he didn't strike me as a vain man, and he certainly didn't seem like he wore a wig. He wasn't, of course not. He had no vices, and the hair, well, I don't know. At his feet, scattered on the floor, were a finely carved ivory pipe, partially melted metal tinderbox, and the remains of a charred handkerchief, now reduced to a pathetic pile of ash. Sir William wore a bronze chain, a now melted medallion, and a signet ring. The seal engraved on it was a stylized drawing of a hand. Very fitting, thought Victor and the streamer. Victor examined the metal tin box closely. Despite being partially melted, it seemed rather ordinary and had nothing extraordinary. It seemed rather ordinary and had nothing extraordinary about it. The line is not very good. It seemed blue and not red. Or the person seemed young and not old. The medallion, however, immediately caught his attention. It was a sturdy metal chain, now reduced to broken metal tangle, suggesting it had been subjected to intense heat or perhaps some kind of magic. The ivory pipe, blackened but still intact, was of good quality and contained no tobacco. It seemed never to have been used before. As if it were merely a decorative object. Is he dead, boss? Yes, the explosion destroyed everything that could be destroyed. Death is a nasty thing. An old philosopher said, we shouldn't fear death. When we are here, it is not. When it is here, we are not. Whoops. They should use Goblin clocks. Just agree on a time, meet at the bell tower at noon. Then they both arrive on time. What? Who could have wanted him dead? I don't know. He had no enemies. Heron stammered, his face twisted with pain and confusion. He couldn't keep his eyes open, and not because of the smoke. Then suddenly he stopped stammering and appeared more resolute. The wizard, that's who. The one who threatened him. My poor lord, added the servant, as if he had finally found the explanation he was seeking. Victor surveyed the room with attentive, probing eyes. One last time, trying to piece together a puzzle that seemed increasingly complicated. The drawing room was vast and opulent, typical of a man who had made his fortune. Victor looked at the armchair in the corner, much more comfortable than his own. Must be nice to be rich, he thought with a hint of envy, but also with the usual detachment that characterized his work. The armchair represented a life he would never know, but it wasn't the time for philosophical reflections. Boss, did you find anything? Nothing particular, just the objects you see too. But look at the body, what's the first thing you notice? His fingernails. His fingernails? Thought Victor. Were they broken? A sign of a struggle? Yet they weren't. Maybe they had residue of some material. No, not that either. Perhaps they were yellowed or blackened from exposure to some substance or magic. No, they were simple fingernails. Rock, what did you notice that was particular about his fingernails? He has all of them. Thanks, Rock. Fundamental contribution. He thought back to Sir William's words. A wizard. Ever since magic has ceased to exist, the occasional charlatan appeared in the city, but just as they suddenly appeared, the Inquisition made them suddenly disappear. Victor sighed, skeptical but at the same time curious. Does he assume wizards still exist? Why would this phantom wizard want Silverbug dead? I don't know. He was mad, raving. He threatened him. Heron replied, almost shouting, while continuing to sob desperately. Everyone saw it. Everyone saw it at the Gentle Goblin Club. He threatened my master in front of everyone. We didn't know why. He was a crazy stranger that the old wizards used to be, I'm telling you. I should say. Victor nodded, more of habit than conviction. The story of a mad wizard sounded like an old wives' tale, but it was Sir William himself who had testified to it with his last words. He looked at Wilbert's corpse, then at the closed and intact window. There were no signs of struggle, nothing to indicate an outsider had entered. Yet the body spoke clearly. Something powerful and terrible had happened. And where can we find this wizard? I don't know if it still makes sense, but the master would have wanted it this way, I think. Trembling, Heron pulled a small slip of paper from his dead master's pocket. His hands shook as he handed it to Victor, as if the player contained a curse. 100-year curse contained a curse. Here, the master told me he had the wizard followed by a man he trusted. It says Aram 70. You can find the wizard there. He's a completely bald man, powerful and mad. Don't trust what he says. Heron added in a trembling voice. Victor took the slip of paper and examined it. It wasn't much to read, just a sparse address. However, it was enough to start. Call the Inquisition. The master will want that, or he'll kill you, like he did my poor master. Victor passed the paper to Rock, who also and especially served as a self-transporting backpack. I'll add it to my notes, boss. What particular handwriting? Did Sir Wilbur have some ailments due to old age? Victor asked, trying to be as delicate as possible. The master, no. He was strong as a lion, and that was his way of writing. I've been in his service since he returned from the emerged lands, and he already wrote like that back then. He explored the emerged lands? For years? They thought he was dead. I keep hitting right click. For years they thought he was dead, and then he returned to everyone's amazement, full of riches. Was Sir Wilbert married? Did he have children? No, he had no one. What about his garden chicken business? I have no idea. It wasn't going well, but what does the farm have to do with it? Was a visit. Enough now, please leave me here with him. You can't tell my wife. I won't be home for a while. I must stay here to look for him. Are there other servants? Victor asked, trying to understand how truly alone Sir Wilbur had been. No. Me and the housekeeper, Miss Marbean, were the last ones left. Heron admitted, his voice broken by grief. And in the end, I was the only one left. Victor nodded. Wilbert's life didn't seem to have been so different from his own. Solitary, full of secrets, and in the end, tragic. It was complicated to manage everything, but for Sir Wilbert, it was worth it. Don't worry, now that you're unemployed, you have lots of free time to rest. At least Sir Wilbert didn't have a goblin as an assistant. I say we're done here. Calm down, Heron. There's nothing more that you can do now. The game is very... I'll continue first. And try not to touch anything. We'll send the coin guards as soon as possible. Tie your shoes well, Rock. We'll be walking a long way today. I'm not wearing shoes. Or trousers. Of course not. Boss. Tell me. Can I lead the investigation? You? Yes, I can. I solved the complicated case of the missing trout. You ate it. Yes, but I had no clues. And the interrogation was rather brutal. Then there was a case of the destruction of the counted cinerary urn. Always you. True, but I had an airtight alibi. You can use the keyboard. Alright, let's do it. You tell me where to go, and together we'll investigate. At the end of the day, you'll have to solve the case. I'll ask you a series of questions, and we'll see how much you've understood about this strange story. Okay, so this is the agency that the player will have. Basically, there'll be a quiz after. Because right now, it's very linear. It's basically a story. This behind here makes me wonder if it's AI generated. It might not be. In fact, it's kind of a... It looks like it's partially Korean inspired. There's a lot of like vertical lines and straight lines. But because they don't form a coherent script, I wonder if it's AI generated. Anyway, it's a visual novel, yeah. Visual novel with extra steps. Hooray! Do you have a detective kit? Sure. Magnifying glass, microscope, fingerprint powder, and evidence bags. Throw it all away, as if truth and evidence mattered here in Red Tower. You can't solve a case based on evidence, or at least it's not enough. You have to get to know the city, understand who lives there and how they think. Do you have the General Accounting Citizens Directory? General Accountant Citizens Directory? Yes, but I don't think it has all the inhabitants. The gnomes in charge of compiling it got drunk at some point and are still looking for them in the woods. Better than nothing. A map of Red Tower. 4. 1 for each district. Okay then, the shop list. I've got it. And I need to buy a snail pie, I know where to go. And I have my diary too. That disgusting notebook where you write down and paste all the junk that's floating around on the city boards. On city's bulletin boards. Not just from bulletin boards, but also from the floor and trash, a gold mine of information. I guess if you really want to take on this case, I'll give you an evaluation. I don't want to waste too much time on this, so I'll set a maximum number of places to visit and deduct a few points for each additional place you visit. However, you can visit places you've already been to if you want to revisit what we've seen without penalty. Great, can I also hammer nails into the office walls? Irrelevant, and no anyway. I'll deduct points if you ask me for hints, and for every wrong answer when we have to solve the case. Oh no. And a couple for the smell. Not bad, right? Musty mud with hints of mushrooms. You choose, how strict should I be? Story mode, no score, I just want to enjoy the adventure. Easy mode, reduce penalties. Normal mode, when in doubt I choose this one. Hard mode, increase penalties. Perfect mode, I must not make any mistakes. Okay, you can drag me to 5 locations that are not relevant to the investigation, get 3 hints, and miss 5 questions without penalty. It's a demo. I don't want to fail the demo. You won't see the story. Are you sure? You only have 10 minutes either way? Yeah. Oh, we've read so much already. I remind you to keep track of the various clues we find on a piece of paper. But don't worry too much about the score. Enjoy the adventure. I'll let you know when you visit all the places relevant to investigation. But how do you know how many that will be? Easy, I rely on an infallible method of investigation. When I get tired wandering around the city, the investigation is over. Fast forward. Laziness and indifference as a work ethic. I'll make a note of that. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about what we've just seen, like the ones I'll ask you when you feel ready to solve the case. Don't worry, they won't affect your final score. What is the victim's name? William Wilbur. That's right, my green assistant. How did he die? He went kaboom. Technical term, but correct. Finally, what did Heron ask us? To avenge. None of these though. Well, not really. He told us to go investigate. Was it to warn his wife? I mean, I might have missed that part. Oh, exactly. Good job. You answered all the questions correctly. I underestimated you, but remember that we can rethink what happened by visiting Nar 60 again. Okay, now grab the map and let's get started. So there's a north map, south map, west map, east map. Citizen. Goodness gracious. Okay, that's interesting. There's a guy named Nessa. There's unfortunately no Taigi. I hope those are generated. Ejin, Kantaskin. There's double J here. Goodness gracious. How do I actually exit? Oh, close. Shops. Ah, interesting. This is actually really interesting. So, that first part might have been a visual novel, but it looks like they're going to send us to, they're going to name a place, and you'll have to find the place and go do things. In his diary, aspiring detective Rock wrote down and kept all the most important news he could gather in the city. Torn pages, notices left on bulletin boards, or posters of dubious origin. Anything that wasn't firmly nailed down could become part of his collection. Before presenting it, we thought it appropriate to adjust it so that it does not cause madness in humans, like most books written by goblins. No need to thank us, we're just trying to avoid lawsuits. Oh, there's so much garbage in here. Beautiful. All ages welcome. Pixies and even kobolds too. Wow, I like this. I like all this kind of stuff. Yeah, bed bugs. I like this kind of North, Man, Wise, and Arab. North, South, East, West. Deaths, weddings, and deaths during weddings. The Dead Don't Run. This page was given to us by Heron Quarrybone. Aram 17. That's our first location. Okay, so let's go there. This is the address Heron gave us, but is this an abandoned house? No, is it here? I'd say no, and judging by the weeds, no one has been inside here for many months. Can we at least eat the weeds? I thought you goblins were exclusively carnivores. Oh no, the goblin diet is varied and based on the 4 fundamental food pillars. I'm afraid to ask. Rotten mushrooms, mustelids, crunchy insects, and stolen goods. That explains why I never accepted your invitations to breakfast. I thought it was because you never wake up before noon. A great writer of the past said, a man is not lazy if he's absorbed in his thoughts. There's visible work and invisible work. Oh, Emmy. So what happens there at the end is that that was after you brought the final artifact back, right? So what happens there at the end is that there is a final assault. There's a final assault on your dome, but you don't have to defeat the dome. Once you run out of health, the artifact itself will burst forth from the dome and kill everything. There is a special achievement for defeating everything, the final wave, but it takes you have to be a little bit upgraded to do that. For now, bringing back the artifact is enough to win. Yes, but you snore. Let's go. So you did win. You just didn't defeat the final extra wave. There's actually a solve the case button here. Although I firmly believe in your abilities, unlike the rest of the world, I thought you could have already solved the case. Anyway, just a demo. Boss, what's a demo? A sneaky trick to get you to buy the full game. Aren't my puppy dog eyes enough? Okay, we just lost a potential buyer. Gigantic one for spike in the dome. Yeah, that's the normal. That's the first one you get, I think. What's really neat? What's hints button do? If you're stuck, I can give you a hint. Remember that in my infinite magnanimity, you can visit a place you've already seen without losing points. So far, you haven't asked me for help. We agreed on this number of hints without penalty, 3. So you can ask me for 3 more hints without penalty. What does this do? Heron mentioned a place where the wizard had been spotted. Think back to what happened in R60. Everything's clear now. Really? Absolutely not. Okay, let's go. Didn't he say Aram 70? Like, were we not supposed to be here? Oh, the gentle goblin. Oh. So the Aram 70 was separating. Gentle goblin. What did he say about it? Oh my goodness, you're going to replay the whole thing from here? No, don't do that. Don't do that. How do I skip that? I know. I wanted to see. I wanted to see what the preview was, see what the review was like. But they're making me redo the entire thing. There's no way to get out of this. Goodness. Goodness gracious. The time that you're talking about your game? I was like, what time-lapse feature? Oh, you're talking about the game that you're playing. Goodness gracious, why does this game do this? See, this guy's invisible now. He's invisible because I scrolled up. See, now only this thing's visible. What's even happening here? What is happening up here? Goodness. Anyway. So if you're gonna make me review, if this is what the review is gonna look like when you click on a scene, there cannot be that much garbage talking, right? This scene had way too much garbage talking, way too much. And if you're not gonna give me a summary of what happened here, you can't make me sit through this again. This is nonsense, absolute nonsense. At least give me a skip scene button. I don't think there is a skip scene button, right? Oh, actually there's a control here. And a tab. Okay, so maybe that will work. But then if you do that... No, actually it still doesn't work. Neither of those buttons actually do anything. Space is the only thing that goes. So neither of these two buttons work. Everson dialog activates the interface. V toggles self-voicing.
Self-voicing enabled. Victor, I rarely saw him around, but he didn't strike me as a bait. Self-voicing disabled.
That's text-to-speech apparently. Yeah, no, this is annoying, yeah. I'm not gonna finish the demo because of this. Although we are almost at the end of the scene. I do like the map, I do like the map segment. But the demo itself is not, you can't do this. Like, this is not the only scene that's gonna happen in, right? It's going to... I do like the idea of having a catalog, like of yellow pages, to look up a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different shops. The game can get really complex in a good way. But then you have penalties for visiting the wrong places. So it's not like you can go there and explore and talk to random people. And this whole skipping, not really skipping thing just puts me off. It's not... The humor, there is humor in the game, and I do kind of want to see why the game is named after this guy instead of this guy. But right now there's not enough QOL to play it, and we kind of got stuck in a loop here with this conversation, like this one. We could go there, sure, but yeah. Okay, you know what? We're done. The game's probably pretty good if you follow it in a linear fashion, and you're not trying to read out everything. But for a stream, it probably doesn't work so well. And yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Yeah, I appreciate y'all being here as always. And we'll go back to our long fun game tomorrow. More detective games tomorrow. Enjoy your game, Emmy. I like the game, so I hope you have fun with it as well. So here, this is the... Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's all the characters do. And unskippable yep is too much. Have a wonderful evening and see you tomorrow. Take care, rest your wings. Bye-bye. Good night.